Alrighty, so this is advanced flow control. Basically, what we had before, meaning on Monday, was using if. Meaning say we use if so that the user have a little bit of control over a form of choices. Meaning you can give either you can choose this, or you can choose that. Right? With advanced flow control, we can now make it so that even if the user chooses something, we can do it over and over again if we want, without having to come up with a code. Meaning to say that, let's say we have a manner. Let's say, for example, we want to ask the user, would you like to do something? And the user said yes. And then once that something has ended, we can ask again, would you like to do it again? Right? So if the user continuously said yes, we can then redo that thing without having to come up with the codes. Right? Previously, what we did was with if. Let's say, for example, we go with, let's say, imagine in a real world situation, like, let's say, for example, we ask the user, would you like to have rice, for example? We just say yes, right? So we serve the user rice, and then we ask again, would you like some more? Right? And then, as long as the user said yes, we keep serving the user rice. Imagine that, right? But if we are to do this using if, we will have to come up with this code over and over and over again. Right? We can, let's say, we assume the user will say yes 10 times. So if we have to do it 10 times, right? So this next part is where we use this thing. Which is called a loop. And when we use a loop, we can then loop a certain part, meaning we continuously say, we keep on doing this until the user says something else, for example, no. Right? So this is advanced flow control, right? Otherwise known as a loop. Right? So we'll have a look at these things first. Goals to understand Boolean data type. So we've understood that in the previous lecture, which is on Monday. Avoid infinite loops. So what is an infinite loops? If, say, we set a condition that can never be met by the loop. Because when we say a loop, we just tell the computer, hey, computer, as long as the user says this, you keep on doing that. Or as long as the user asks this or do that and so on, you keep on doing it, right? But we can imagine this, yeah? Let's say, for example, we want to, let's say in the previous question where you are asked to accumulate the salary of a salaryman for 12 months, right? Annually, right? So 12 months. So we say, let's say, for example, as long as it is not yet 12 months, right? So we do salary is equal to salary plus. So basically, we are adding up the salary. Let's say, for example, the salary is, let's say, 3,000, right? We set the salary first as 0. This is the basics. Salary is equal to 0, right? And then salary is equal to salary plus, meaning salary plus 3,000. Sorry, salary plus 3,000. So does it make sense? So initially the value of salary is 0, right? But we make it so that salary is equal to salary plus 3,000, and then we add the month. Each month we add 1 plus 1 plus 1 until month is 12. We repeat that until month is 12. But imagine if we missed out on month plus 1, meaning we missed out on this line, then that will mean that the month will stay at whatever month it is. The month will never become 12, which means that we keep on looping this. So this is called an infinite loop, meaning to say that a loop, meaning we tell the computer to repeat it, do something until a condition is met. But if by any chance we make a mistake of not putting some kind of controller for that condition to be met, then we might have a problem of what we call an infinite loop. Right? So program conditions using Boolean operators and variables, understand nested loop, program loops with the for and do while statement. So we'll start off with a while loop, then we'll look at for loop, and then do while loop. Alright. So far, we'll assume the user gives us proper input. Okay, so this is the first part, is on you can say like a default lah. For this one, I think you can just have a look at the slide, and if you want, you can give it a try lah. I'm not gonna really focus on this one because this is basically just what if is like the else lah, that exception handling. So it's like this is like what we call a built-in exception handling for C++ programming, where it's already inside and you can just use it. But to me, it's like a lazy way of doing programs. Instead of you putting some kind of condition, you actually put something like this. So it's a default kind of thing. So a default, as you can see here, we have a return 0 if the program runs until the end. If on the other hand something fails, then it will return a 1 instead. Right? So I think for much longer, more complicated programs, maybe you want to do something like this. But to me, at our level of programming, we don't really need it. Right? So, but if you want to try it out, by all means, please do. Right? So if the user inputs something else, then return 1 will happen, meaning to say that the program will actually return the 1. But I said it's like a lazy way of programming, meaning we didn't actually put the exception handling. We actually rely on something which is already built in. Right? So we call a block of code that is repeated a loop. So we can actually say, continue doing this until a particular condition is met. So while statement is true or while condition is not yet met, then you put a few statements, then those statements will be repeated as long as the statement is still true or as long as the condition is not yet met. For example, we can say, walk to the toilet, right? So we say, as long as you are not in front of the toilet, take 1 step. It's just something like that. So we just take 1 step. Is it the toilet? Not yet. Another step. Toilet? Not yet. So we took another step. One. Right? So each repetition of the code is called an iteration. So we repeat. While loop acts like a repeating if statement. So it's like, continue doing this while that condition is not met yet. The braces enclose the code to repeat. So we can repeat only 1 statement, in which case we don't need the braces, but as good habit or good practice, you just keep the braces, right? So whatever is within the braces will be repeated. This is where we can put some kind of a controller. For example, we can say month plus 1, right? Month is equal to month plus 1. Initially, month is actually equal to 0, right? We initiate before. So if you put a statement that says month is equal to month plus 1, eventually month will reach 12, so that we don't have to repeat this any longer. But if we miss out on this statement, then it becomes an infinite loop. Right? So we can also have values which are sentinel. Sentinel means we say as long as the user does not say this, or does not do this, or does not type this, continue doing. For example, n. Right? More rice? Yes. More rice? Yes. More rice? Yes. More rice? No. So once the user type n, then it stops. So that is n is a sentinel value. We call it a sentinel value, meaning it's a controlling value. Whenever you read a sequence of input values, if there's some method of terminating the input, right? Number used to signal termination is called a sentinel, so that's the controlling factor, controlling value, right? Sentinels only work if there is some restriction on the input. So we commonly use 0 and -1. It's like, for example, imagine the program where we ask the user 2 numbers, and then the user can choose whether plus, minus, multiplication, division, right? So imagine say, would you like to continue this any longer? So if not, enter -1 or something like that, right? Or if not, say no or press N or something. Right? So common sentences, these are common ones, 0 and -1. So example given here, double. Okay, here we have several values that declared, which is sum and count, right? And even a boolean which is called more, right? And double salary 0. So while salary is not -1, enter a salary -1 to finish. So you will get the value of the salary by the user, right? So if salary is not -1, right? Sum, which is 0, will be equal to sum plus salary. So 0 plus whatever value the user supplies. Let's say the user supplies 5,000, so it will be 5,000. Count plus plus. So count, which is initially 0 as well, will be added 1. Let's say, for example, the user puts 5,000, right? So let's say this is the first value like that. So what happens to sum and count? Right? Sum will become 5,000, count will become 1. Right? So next round the user key in 7,000. Sum will become then 12,000, count will become 2. Right? The user types in 3,000. So sum will become 15,000, count will become 3, and so on. Pretty easy, right? Then this is while salary is not -1. So then the user says, okay, that's enough. I'm gonna key in -1. So sum and count will just remain at 15,000, and count will remain at 3. That's where the loop ends, right? Average salary. I guess the so because this is being put here, so when the salary is -1, then this will all be let go, meaning it will not execute this if salary is -1. I'm just concerned if this line is not put here. You imagine this line is not put here, right? So -1 will still be added inside this. So salary will then be 14,999, for example. But because of these lines, if salary and whatnot, because of those lines, right? What happens is that the -1 will not be factored into the total salary, right? So in this case, at the end, average salary is sum over count. So in this case, it will be 50,000 over 3, resulting in 5,000. Pretty easy. Right, so integer -1 while x less than or equal to 0, and so this is like a trick kind of program. So it's just keep asking the user. If the user keeps on giving a negative value, the program will ask again. It's like annoying the user. Give a positive number, give a positive number. So once the user gives a positive number, then this will be output. See out your number is blah blah blah. So the number will be given back to the user, and then that's that. What does this code do? Like I said earlier, that was what it will do, right? How many times will it repeat? It depends on how many times the user will give a negative value, right? So as long as the user gives a value which is 0 or less than 0, then it will repeatedly ask enter a positive number. Of course, we discount the a few maths concepts like is 0, negative, or positive, that kind of thing, right? Why was it necessary to initialize x into -1? Because we want to run it at least once, right? So if x is a positive number, then it no longer will satisfy this one. X is no longer less than or equal to 0, right? So we have to initialize x as -1 so that this condition is not met. Right? So that this condition is met, so that it will continue to do it. Right. So this is a you can say this roulette wheel at Caesar is broken, always lands on red. Winning a bet on red doubles your money. So you start at $1, then it becomes 2, then it becomes 4, then it becomes blah blah blah, right? 2, 4, and so on. We can give this a try. Just code it into the console, and then we'll get how much. Right? You need to make however many number of bets. So we'll just keep on continuing, multiply by 2, by 2, by 2, by 2, right? And number of bets will continue to rise one by one, right? So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on. Multiply two numbers entered by the user. Ask the user if she wants to continue. Stop when the user says so, right? So this is an example, right? Double A and B, string response Y. So while response is continued to be a yes, then it will continually ask the two numbers and then multiply the two. Right? So do you want to do it again? So the user will answer Y or N, right? Yes or no. Right? So as long as the user answers yes, then it will continue doing so. Right? So we are going to end with the next slide, which is actually an exercise. So technically we're going to end with an exercise. Write program using while loop that accepts marks until less than 0 marks is entered. Calculate and display the lowest, largest, total and average marks. Can